I knew things had officially spiraled out of control the moment Tiffany was elected HOA president. She had a platinum bob, oversized cat-eye sunglasses, and a clipboard that seemed surgically attached to her hand, and from the very first day, she walked into the community clubhouse. She began issuing rules like a dictator marshaling her troops. No decorative gnomes, trash cans must match curbside colors perfectly, lawns had to be exactly 2 inches tall, flower beds aligned like military formations, and mismatched curtains were outright forbidden. At first, we laughed, assuming she'd tire after a week, but Tiffany had other plans. Morning inspections began immediately. She prowled the neighborhood, measuring distances between mailboxes and streetlights, photographing porches, taking note of every minor infraction, and acting as though she were filming an episode of Suburban Perfection Police. When I asked what she was doing, she smiled like a politician and said it was for community safety. But everyone could see it was just control. The first truly insane moment came on a bright Wednesday morning when Tiffany handed me a flyer demanding every resident provide a spare house key to the HOA for emergency access. She claimed it was for fires, medical emergencies, and vague insurance reasons, but we knew the truth. She wanted unrestricted access to snoop on everyone. The deadline was 2 weeks. Some neighbors, terrified of fines or out of habit, handed over keys immediately, strutting down the sidewalks like children showing off gold stars, while Tiffany deposited each into a sparkly lavender lockbox she called the emergency access vault, and moved to the next house as if collecting Halloween candy. I refused. That made me a target. Tiffany escalated, leaving increasingly aggressive notes, sending official-looking letters, threatening fines, and attempting door-to-door visits at 7 a.m., clipboard in hand, using that condescending tone that makes your blood boil. A few brave neighbors stood with me, including Sam, a retired paramedic with zero tolerance for nonsense, and Brenda, a schoolteacher who refused to be intimidated. "We're not giving in to clipboard tyranny," Brenda said. By day 7, Tiffany was acting like a monarch, marking non-compliant homes, sending increasingly formal notices, and insisting she was protecting community morale. She even created a Facebook group to track compliance, posting photos of our porches with captions like, "Lot 14, still non-compliant, let's get them in line." Soon, a resistance formed, nicknamed the Non-Compliant Five, including me, Sam, Brenda, Mike the retired firefighter, and Maria, a tech-savvy neighbor who posted Tiffany's key demands online, making the absurdity semi-viral in our local forum. By day 10, Tiffany's overreach escalated to a new level. She hired 2 security guards dressed in oversized polos with HOA security stitched on them, sent to my home with keychains and clipboards ready. They rattled my doorknobs, attempted entry, and acted like SWAT, but I calmly recorded everything on my phone, shouting for the neighborhood to witness her overreach. Neighbors came out, some filming, some holding coffee mugs like popcorn, as the non-compliant 5 stood united. The cops arrived after I called and reviewed footage of harassment, threats, and fake fines. Tiffany tried to spin it as a misunderstanding, but the officers were unimpressed. My lawyer filed trespassing and harassment charges, freezing all. HOA operations pending investigation, revealing Tiffany's key rule was never properly approved, a blatant power grab. By day 14, the neighborhood had erupted into chaos and laughter. Tiffany's sparkly lavender lockbox, full of keys from compliant neighbors, became a running joke, and her daily patrols were documented by residents with cameras, social media posts, and memes. We started small acts of subtle rebellion. Hanging. Wildly mismatched curtains, placing pink flamingos in front yards, leaving fake notices about mandatory fun inspections, and posting sarcastic updates in the neighborhood group. Tiffany tried to intimidate us with $100-a-day fake fines, warning letters, and claims of destroying neighborhood morale, but the resistance only grew. Kids played freely in yards, Pets roamed without surveillance, and neighbors discussed plans for community vigilance against future overreach. Social media caught the story, and a small segment aired on local television, interviewing residents and showing footage of Tiffany being escorted from the clubhouse by authorities. Months later, a new HOA election was held with strict rules, ensuring transparency and limited authority. Our little cul-de-sac, once the setting for clipboard tyranny, became a model for neighbor solidarity, cooperation, and empowerment. While Tiffany faded into suburban infamy, her story remains a reminder that absurd power grabs can happen even in the calmest neighborhoods. But a united, vigilant community, armed with common sense, cameras, and knowledge of their rights, can stop them. Residents celebrated their victory, shared stories, and formed informal neighborhood watch groups, teaching younger neighbors about privacy, law, and standing firm. The tale of clipboard tyranny and neighbor heroism continues to inspire conversations, community engagement, and pride in our street. Every mention of HOA keys brings laughter, reminding us of those 2 weeks of chaos, the sparkly lavender lockbox, and the courage of ordinary residents standing against unreasonable authority. Even years later, our cul-de-sac remained, slightly wild, curtains mismatched, and lawns free, proving that privacy, humor, and justice always prevail. The HOA drama became legend, memes were shared, and our victory celebrated across the city. Residents now held bi-weekly meetings in driveways discussing neighborhood improvements, safety, and legal rights, ensuring no future president could wield power like Tiffany did. Kids who once hid from clipboard inspections now laughed in yards. Neighbors hosted block parties without fear of reprimand, and pets roamed freely, happy and unmonitored. The community, once fractured by fear, was now united by experience, humor, and resilience. Even local media referred back to the story as an example of civic engagement and neighborly solidarity. What started as absurdity escalated into intimidation, yet concluded with legal triumph, laughter, and empowerment. Tiffany's reign ended, but the lessons endured. HOA authority has limits, privacy is paramount, and unity is powerful. Residents continued to celebrate their victory, creating a strong, engaged, and joyful community where humor, common sense, and vigilance ensure that no clipboard-wielding ruler will ever terrorize us again. Our cul-de-sac became a symbol of victory against petty tyranny, showing that even in sunny suburbs, absurd power grabs can occur, but they can also be defeated through courage, unity, and knowing your rights.